Hi, my name is Michael Ingui from Ingui Architects. I am also the founder of the Passive House Accelerator and co-founder of Source 2050. Over the last decade, we've done a number of passive houses. We've done the first passive house in Manhattan, the first passive house in a landmark district, the first passive plus house in the US, and have been really lucky to get some wonderful projects with great contractors, great consultants, and have been really helped and mentored with this community, sharing details, ideas, solutions, and best practices. We've been creating a systematic approach to achieving successful passive house projects. And there are really 10 steps you can follow. I decided it would be better to ask the people I really admire, whose work is different from ours, who've been doing it for a long time, what they also thought their 10 steps were. And as usual, we got fantastic feedback. We're going to talk about their ideas as well as mine. And the 10 steps that are included provide that framework that can be followed by anyone. Step one is always getting the client on board first. Having the client believe in what you're doing as much as what you're doing is important. Focus on the amenities of a passive house. People very often will think they're getting less, but they're getting more. When we walk through with a client, we'll very often say, if you want a house without most bugs and dust, you can do a passive house. If you want a house without so much street noise, we can put passive house windows in. If you want a house that has filtered fresh air 24/7, we can do a passive house. If you want a house with warm walls and floors and where the temperature is consistent throughout, we can do a passive house. They didn't know they can have these things, so they don't ask the question. And once they do know they can have these things, of course they want it. Nobody's like, no, I want the house with all the bugs. I want the house with the dust. Give me that one. And all of a sudden, they ask you what a passive house is, and they're in. They're invested. They want it. We don't mention the energy savings, which is tremendous. We don't mention the fact that they almost don't need heat in the winter, which is bananas. Because if I did mention that first, they would just assume they couldn't have something, when in fact, with a passive house, you're getting more, not less. Step number 2 is including the passive house consultant early. One theme of any project, as well as passive house projects, is never going backwards. And including your passive house consultant early, whether it's in-house or you're using an outside consultant, is essential. It allows you to bring them in during schematic design. You can look at the orientation. You can look at where shading would be better. It allows us to know where we've got to do more insulation and less insulation, and we can bring that into our design. Not doing that creates situations where you go backwards, where you design a project and you're realizing, oh my God, now I need all these horrible mechanicals, and I need to do this, and I need to solve that. Or the client fell in love with something that they probably shouldn't have or you shouldn't have. And also, it doesn't allow you to see the opportunities that passive house windows or walls or doors allow you to include in your designs. Step number 3, bringing the contractor in early, is something that Ingui does on all of our projects. But in passive house projects, it's even more important. It brings them into the project, gets them excited about the design as well as the build, and in our experience, creates a much better finished product. Some of the subcontractors and some of the crew have never done a passive house before. They get pretty excited about it, but they have to know what they're in for. They have to know that they can't cut through that membrane or cut through that layer that they've been used to cutting forever. They can then really get into the detailing with you. Now you're not just bringing the builder on, you're bringing the builder subs on. The electrician's got ideas where the electrical panel can go. The plumber's got ideas about where the chase could be. Everybody gets excited about this. Everybody wants to build better. We're giving them the opportunity to do it, and to do it in an organized way. And bringing them on early is essential. Step 4 is creating an air sealing, mechanical, ventilation, exhaust, and hot water strategy from the beginning. You don't have to wait until you're through construction drawings to get into this. You should do this early. And asking the client how they want to use the house. How cold do they like it? How warm do they like it? Do they have a lot of parties? Really understanding what the client wants and coming up with that strategy and that diagram early ensures that things fit, things work, and the house is going to operate the way you want it to. That'll make a happier client in the end. They move in, they know how their house works, and they're happy. Filters have to be removed. Don't make it difficult, make it easy. Easy to reach filters are filters that get changed. Filters that can't get reached are filters that don't get changed. Remember that air sealing from the cellar to the walls to the roof of any building is a system. Make sure the system works. It's great when you can do it with one manufacturer, but if you're not, make sure all the manufacturers work together. You don't have to get through detailing to do that. You can do that at the beginning. You can take a look at the manufacturer's specs, talk to different people, and make sure they all work together so you have one seamless system that works. Step 5 is to create a clear drawing and specification package. Similar to many of these other steps, these are not exclusive to Passive House. Bringing in your contractor early, your Passive House consultant early, certification body early, all in schematic design really helps you in design development and in construction drawings to create this clear package so that when they're building and they're in the field, they really know what's going on. Paying attention to shading, window orientation, and heat gain is imperative. It is the single most thing you can do to significantly lower your cooling loads. Some of the contractors you'll be working with have never installed an ERV before, or some of the makeup air equipment that we're using for some of the ventilation. Making sure they know where it is, where it goes, and how you're going to run it, and detailing it in ensures that they've got it in the drawing set, they've got it in the bid, and they can build it right. Being clear in the contract documents of what's expected is essential to ensuring the contractor has the time and the ability to do the things they need to do. And finally, we are in an emerging market. So remember, yes, there's a new product probably coming out in 3 months or 6 months. And yes, how you're detailing it today, you will be detailing better in 3 months or 6 months. But you have to finish this project, your client has to move in, they must be happy, and you're detailing it the best way you can. Create a package that works, that's available, that's buildable, and everyone will be happy. Step 6 is one of the secret sauces to, I think, any successful project, but definitely a Passive House project, which is to hold a kickoff meeting with the entire crew. What that means is not just the general contractor you hired, it's the site super, it's the electrician who's going to be on the project, the plumber who's going to be on the project. Make sure they understand what you're looking for. What's your final outcome? What is a Passive House? And it's exciting. They like it. They get excited about it. It also helps to make sure that everybody's on the same page. They know what we're doing. And people are more apt to do a better project on projects where they're included in the entire story. This is incredibly important for first-time Passive House contractors and first-time Passive House subcontractors. Again, these are relatively easy concepts that are very difficult to unlearn. People ask us all the time, how do you find a good Passive House contractor? And our answer is, you just find a great contractor. Most contractors love to build. They love what they're doing. They're interested in it, right? They love tools. They love finding out the best way to do something. And most of the time, the contractors that we're working with, once they learn how to do the Passive House, they're bringing up better ways for us to do it all the time. It becomes a bit of an addiction. Step 7 is to hold weekly meetings. Definitely with construction, there are projects with weekly meetings, and there are projects that don't go well. You start with, what did you do last week? What are you doing this week? What do you need from us for the next 2 weeks? And just those simple questions help everybody stay on track. Make sure the meetings are clear, concise, and that everybody leaves understanding what the next steps are. Step 8 is using the blower door as a tool. If you don't know what a blower door is, it's a door with a fan in it that is either pressurizing or depressurizing your building to allow you to find leaks. It tells you how well sealed the house is. And that's important. That tells you whether you're successful with the way you've taped the windows, with the way you've done the walls, with your sealants. We're doing blower door tests on our houses before we've even installed the windows. Very often they're bringing the wall board or the smart membrane past the window opening anyway, or masking them out. And what's nice about that is you are not doing the blower door too late in the process where you've put up too much framing. You've put up too much stuff in the way. So you can't find that item. You're looking for a needle in the haystack. It takes you forever. And that is what makes Passive House either fail or be more expensive. It's all about sequencing. And sequencing the blower door early and using it often ensures that you're not looking at the needle in the haystack. Sometimes when we're working with Kevin or other contractors, we're running the blower door at night after they've installed the second floor of windows. So we can see, okay, how is it now? Did it go up or down? And it lets you know, okay, it's an issue on the second floor, and the next day they come in and they take a look at it. Again, you're not going backwards. It doesn't take long to do, and using it as a tool is so helpful. Step 9 is commissioning the house. And for those of you who don't know what you mean by commissioning, it's really making sure that your systems are working the way they're supposed to work. They can check the flow rates. They can check the ventilation rates. They can check to make sure everything's working well and everything's balanced well. I can tell you firsthand, in my own house, I was a little slow and I didn't commission my house right away, lived there for 3 months or 4 months, and then I had it commissioned, which again means that I had my air conditioning balanced and I had my ERV balanced, and you could tell a huge difference. It's not just good to maximize the energy performance of the house, which it is. It's good for general living. Not only are you ensuring that the project's working well for the client, that the energy performance is good, but you're also at that point telling them, how does my energy recovery ventilator work? How does my air conditioning work? And it's a great way to hand the client the project. Step 10, certifying your project. Certifying your project has a lot of benefits. It's not just a plaque. It's not just a final test. We've included that certifying body early. We've used them as a tool during it. We're doing all the tests anyway. Certifying is just one more step into that, where you're sending it to the certifying body and they're helping to ensure, yeah, you really made it happen. Again, Passive House is just a better building. Thanks for making it through all 10 steps. And I want to say thank you to everyone who helped participate in these 10 steps. These are secrets of builders and architects and developers, and they're not holding it in. They're not siloing it to themselves. They understand how important it is that everybody gets these and everybody can follow this sequential approach to building a better building. They understand how important it is that we make this happen. So thank you very much. If you want more information, go to passivehouseaccelerator.com. They share lots of interesting tips, tricks, projects, techniques, and solutions so that you can build a better building.